Hi, my name is Glomilin Beloy, and for today's topic, we are going to discuss about the verbal inflection. What is verb inflection? Verb inflection, also known as conjugation, it is the process of modifying a verb's form to indicate grammatical categories such as tense, mood, aspect, voice, person, and number. These grammatical categories provide information about the time of the action, the speaker's attitude toward the action, the ongoing nature of the action, whether the action is active or passive, who is performing the action, and whether the action is singular or plural. Now, let's move forward to one of the type of verb inflection, the tense. Tense derived from Latin word tempus, which means time and period, meaning it indicates when an action occurs, such as past, present, or future. For example, walked as a past tense, walks as a present tense, and will walk as a future tense. We have three categories of tense: the present, the past, and the future, as what I already discussed from the first slide. Present tense, this is the actions or state taken in the present time or as of the moment or now. The past tense, this is a state or action that has already done or action that already completed. The future tense, this is the action or state that is not yet being done or action that is coming to happen. Guys, we had already know the three categories of tenses, which are the past, present, and the future. Now, I want to tell you that in each category of tense that we discussed recently, there are also another categories under to it. Now, I want to ask you, how many tenses do you know? Or you still have no idea about it? Don't you worry, we will identify all of it. Let's begin with the present tense. We're gonna be looking all tenses one by one and see every examples of sentences. How do they change and what situations do we use them? First is the simple present tense. Look like this. I walk every day. You use this tense to talk about your habit, and here you do not use the ing or the ed form of the verb. You simply say, I walk every day. Next is the present continuous. Continuous means the ing form of the verb. For example, I am walking right now. This means you're talking about what you're doing at the moment. Remember, too, that you need to use the auxiliary verb or the helping verb, such as is, are, was, were, etc. In this sentence, we use the auxiliary verb am plus the ing form of the verb. Next is the present perfect tense. This means such as has, have, and had. We use this type of sentence have plus third form of the verb. For example, I have walked recently. We use this type of tense to talk about something that already finished. Recently, like an hour ago. Last is the present perfect continuous, meaning present time plus has in have the perfect plus ing continuous in it. This tense is a blend of the simple, continuous, and the perfect tense. For example, I have been walking for 3 hours. You ask why we used been here. Been is basically used whenever we're talking about the continuous form ing. It means when we use ing with have, we always use been. This is used to talk about what was happening with you recently. This action you're doing, how long is going on? For example, I have been teaching for 15 years until the present time. Meaning, I have been teaching is a present perfect continuous. Now let's move forward to the next category of tense, the past tense. First is the simple past. Here, we just need to add ed to a regular form of the verb. For example, I walked last night. Last night meaning the actions that you did in the past. The action is over. Walked. Next is the past continuous. Remember, continuous meaning the ing form of the verb. For example, I was walking last night, meaning what you are doing in the past continuously. Past perfect. Remember, perfect meaning the use of has, have. What is the past of has and have? Had plus third form of the verb walked. For example, I had walked before I slept. You're wondering why we are talking about two actions, walk and sleep, slept. Whenever you talk about perfect tense, the past perfect, the use of had, you also talk action about what you did before that. That's why we talk about two actions here. To make it simple, past perfect means the use of had and the two things or the actions, two actions in the past that you did together. Last, under the past tense is the past perfect continuous, meaning continuous, always remember the use of had plus ing form of the verb. Then we need to use the been here. For example, I had been walking when the guest arrived. So there are two things or actions happened before the guest arrived. I had been walking. Now we are done with the two categories of the tenses, the past tense and the present tense. So we're going now to the future tense. First is the simple future, meaning the will plus the base form of the verb. For example, I will walk tomorrow. Tomorrow indicates future. So actions you're gonna be doing tomorrow. Next is the future continuous, means will plus the ing form of the verb. I will be walking tomorrow. If you remember with has and have or had, we use the been plus ing form. Same with the future continuous, we will use the be plus the ing form of the verb. Next is the future perfect. Future perfect means will plus has or have plus the third form of the verb. Example, I will have walked by 7 o'clock tonight. Meaning, you're talking what you'll be doing and what actions will you have to finish in a certain time in the future. Last, the future perfect continuous. These are the blend of the simple future, continuous, and perfect future. Meaning, will plus have plus been plus the ing form of the verb. Example, I have been walking when you arrive tomorrow. By the time your friend possibly arrive, what you'll be doing by that time? You have been walking by that time. These are the future category of tense. Okay, what we have been defined from the first types of verbal inflection, the tenses. Now we are going to identify the second or the next type of the verbal inflection, mood. Mood is a grammatical feature of verbs that indicates a speaker's attitude toward the proposition expressed in the sentence. Mood is typically marked by verb forms that can also be expressed through other grammatical means, such as adverbs or modal auxiliaries. There are three main moods in English: the indicative, imperative, and the subjunctive mood. First is the indicative mood. Indicative mood is used to make a statements of fact or asking a question about facts or stating an opinions. For example, the sun is shining. Is the sun shining? I think the sun is shining. Now, let's talk about the imperative mood. Imperative mood are words that use to make commands or requests. We usually use the polite word please and and use the exclamatory point in a sentence. For example, please close the door. Stop talking. Take this medication as prescribed. Turn off the lights. Imperative mood is used to give commands, to make requests, to give instructions, to express warnings, or to give an advice. Number three is the subjunctive mood. Subjunctive mood is used to express a range of meaning, including possibility, doubt, desire, and necessity. Subjunctive mood is used to express a variety of meaning, including hypothetical situations. Hypothetical situations, especially when the situation is unlikely or impossible. For example, I wish I were a bird. Wishes and desires. As I told you, I wish I were a bird. Suggestions and recommendations. I suggest that you go to the doctor. Commands and requests. I insist that you be quiet. I hope that she is happy. Desire. A subjunctive mood is most commonly used in subordinate clauses, which are clauses that are introduced by conjunctions such as if, what, although, and unless. However, it can also be used in independent clauses, especially in formal writing. Here are some examples of how the subjunctive mood used in English. If I were taller, I could play basketball. Hypothetical situation. I wish I were not so tired. Wish. I suggest that you leave early. Suggestion. I insist that you apologize immediately. Command. The subjunctive mood is a versatile grammatical tool that can be used to express a wide range of meaning. It is important to use the subjunctive mood correctly in order to communicate effectively. We are now finished verbal inflection using tense and mood, or in the category of tense and mood. We learned how the verbs are being changed through time and how the action or when the actions are being done. And in this part, we will study how verbal inflection used in person. Person is a grammatical category that distinguishes between the speaker or the first person, the addressee or the second person, and the person or thing being spoken about or the third person. First person are I, we, me, mine, us, and ours. For example, I am. Golomilin Beloy. We are family. Second person, you. You are beautiful. You use they are as a third person, he, she, it, they. She is beautiful. Is used when you're talking about the singular subject. Now, we are going to see how the regular verb are being formed or changes from base form to past tense to past participle. Regular verb is by adding the suffix ed to the end of the base form of the verb. For example, walk, walked, walked. From past tense to past participle, it hasn't changes its word. Work, worked, worked. Look, looked, looked. Live, lived, lived. And next is the irregular verb. Irregular verb does not follow standard pattern for forming the past tense and past participle. For example, be, past tense, was or were. Past participle, been. Become, became, become. Break, broke, broken. Do, did, and done.
Hi, Miss Beloy. I want to answer your activity. Number one, look and blank in the garden. Work is working, are working. The answer is working. Look, Anne is working in the garden. The next one, I blank TV at the moment. Watch, are watching, am watching. The answer is I am watching. I am watching TV at the moment. The next, we blank a book reading, are reading. The answer is are reading. We are reading a book. And last one, she blanked the piano. Playing, is playing, are playing. The answer is playing. She is playing the piano. That's all. Thank you.